Our final agenda item is consideration of Petition 1458. The petition is from Mr Peter Cherby and asks the committee to consider the merits of establishing a register of interests for members of the Judiciary. I refer members to paper 4. Since we considered this petition last time, we've received additional information from Mr Cherby and also from Moyali. We have also received a letter from the Cabinet Secretary for Justice. Can I invite comments from members on the correspondence and whether they wish to make any recommendations or suggest further action? John Finney.
Thank you. I think it's very helpful to have all this information here, and there's a number of suggestions. I for one, feel I can't understand what the problem would be with having a register, and the more people tell me there's no issue, the more I'm convinced that there is a need for one. I think the submission from Moyali is very helpful. There's reference to a letter. That letter's 23rd April 2014. That's now a bit old. We've also been provided with news coverage. I have to say, the idea that anyone connected with the Scottish Judiciary would have any role whatsoever in the United Arab Emirates. I went on yesterday to Human Rights Watch World Report, which does a country-by-country breakdown. This is a country that's intolerant of criticism, that's played a leading role in the unlawful acts in Yemen, its treatment of migrant workers, women's rights is absolutely shocking. It permits domestic violence. I don't think any reasonable examination of the role of a public official, and I get the separation of the judiciary, would say that that's acceptable. So I think we need to do something, and I'm not content with the Cabinet Secretary's response. I think it's just playing out the same line before, that there's nothing to see here, move on. Well, I don't think this issue will move on until we have the openness and transparency that people rightly expect of public office.
Daniel Johnson.
I'd like to speak in support of what my colleague John Finney has just said. The Nolan Principles are 25 years old this year, and they are principles which I think have guided public life very well. In particular, 3 of those principles are: 1, integrity, whereby holders of public offices should not place themselves under any financial or other obligation to outside individuals or organisations that might seek to influence them in the performance of their official duties; openness, which I think is self-explanatory; and honesty, whereby holders of public offices have a duty to declare any private interest relating to their public duties and to take steps to resolve any conflicts arising in any way, in a way that protects the public interest. I think that's pretty clear. And I think while the Cabinet Secretary may well not view that there is a problem, that is not to say that this is not a positive step to ensuring that we have an open, transparent, and an all above a judiciary that is, whose integrity is beyond question. So I absolutely believe in the independence of the judiciary, but I think in order to maintain that integrity and that independence, this step in terms of transparency has an awful lot of merit. And I think the committee should think about taking perhaps some further evidence, certainly hearing from Moyali, such as the suggestion from the petitioner. But I think this is something that we should progress and seek to move forward. Thank you.
Lee MacArthur.
Yeah, can I very much echo what Daniel Johnson has said, and much of what John Finney has said. I think in reference to the United Arab Emirates, while I might share many of his concerns, I think the point about a register is illuminating that, and if there's a justification in engaging in order to improve the way in which judicial procedures operate in a third country, then at least we all know what the purpose of that engagement is. But I mean, I think I would very much concur with what's been said about the need for transparency, the underpinnings of the Nolan Principles. I mean, I see from the Court and Tribunal Service the details of the accountability report. I'm not sure that is a massive leap away from what is being sought through this petition, and therefore this may be a bit of a journey that they're on. But I would certainly agree that it would be worth the committee continuing to pursue this, to take further evidence from Moyalia. That would seem a logical next step, as John Finney suggested. The earlier evidence she provided, it was in written form. It was a number of weeks ago, and I think it would probably benefit us all to hear what she has to say and cross-examine that a little further. But I'd be very keen to keep this petition open for now.
Liam Kerr.
Just briefly to say I'm pretty much in the same place on this. I can see the argument why we would take this further and why we should hear more. I look at the response from the Cabinet Secretary and the reference to the previous Cabinet Secretaries saying, look, I don't think there's anything to examine particularly here. And I'm just not persuaded, having felt that, or considered the force of argument in favour of exploring it further. I'm not convinced that it's good enough to just say, look, there's nothing here, don't worry about it. And so for that reason, I think we should be looking in more detail at this.
Fulton.
Thanks, Conveners. I think just to echo what others have said, I think that it looks like, I think John Finney particularly made a very compelling argument about why we should do something further on this. I'm not sure, some people have commented on the Cabinet Secretary's response, and I'm not sure that that was my take in what he was saying, that it was nothing to see here sort of thing. But even given that, I think that, really we should be taking more evidence and information to work out where we go from here. So I agree with what's been said.
Any other views? Right, can I summarise then? Moyali, I think the committee was keen to hear from. Her submission or letter was dated 2014, but she did say it was relevant. It would be good to get an update. The Nolan Committee, I think we've expressed, is 25 years old, so perhaps it is time that we take some evidence from perhaps Lord Carloway, if he's prepared to give a view, the petitioner himself, most certainly, and the Cabinet Secretary to give him an opportunity to respond more fully to the letter he sent us. And if there's any other witnesses, it would be September now we'd be looking to do this. Are we agreeable? That's how we move forward. Okay, we are. That brings this meeting to a close.